Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com, and welcome to Thursday. Yeah, one more day, and then we'll be at Friday, allegedly. Now, I'm not a weatherman, but maybe, possibly, tomorrow will be below 100 degrees here in the Valley of the Sun. That's right, 99, they're saying. We'll see. We'll see. My fingers are crossed. It's supposed to cool down, and then we'll brag about how great our weather is while everybody else is stuck to a water pipe frozen somewhere. But it's coming. It's coming. 100. I think we're at 140 or 141 days with temperatures over 100. I know we broke a record this year for most days over 115 and most days over 110. But I think we're going to finish 1 or 2 days away, assuming it never goes back above 100 for the rest of the year, shy of the record for most days above 100. It was like 143 was the all-time record. So I think we're going to miss it by 1 or 2. But for Friday night football, should be a nice weather event here in the Valley of the Sun. Like I said, it's different. You know, people think 99, oh my God, it's so hot. Not here. 99, it's a little warmer than normal here, but 99 is not bad here. When you get down into the low 90s, it's just gorgeous. And then, we like to pretend we have winter here. Anything after that, you're going to see people, if it's in the 80s, right, we got jeans on, we got the sweaters on. I mean, it's nuts. I know a lot of people out there, anything above 60 degrees, 70 degrees, you got the shorts and the shirts on. Here, anything below 90, we got long-sleeve shirts and jeans going, so looking forward to that. Metals plans, I got to update. I say we. Jason is a genius and said, hey, we can ship from the Colorado office as well. So we are shipping out of both offices. As a matter of fact, this will be something we'll do from here on out. So many people are signing up for this plan. I didn't realize how many there are. But we will be done shipping the metals plans early next week. The vast majority of them will be done by Friday. The vast majority will be done by tomorrow, but we'll have some that'll go into next week, but not too many, but we'll be done, I'll say Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. Appreciate your patience, and going forward, that's probably what we're going to do. We like to say, hey, we're going to have it all out by, the first week of the month. It's going to take 2 weeks from here on out, especially with the post office and the restrictions. I've decided the post office hates money. That's what it is. For those of you that didn't listen to yesterday's show, they're now limiting the number of boxes we can bring. Yep. Yeah, we don't want all that money. No, no, that's too much work for us. So anyhow, thank you to Jason. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but that's why I got such a great team around me. Brooke and Arlene, my wife, Jason, Bernice. We got Brian. Now, I can't forget Jack. I mean, the radio station. We actually had 4 people working at the radio station yesterday, and that just makes my heart feel good as we're trying to take care of business all over the place. 800-951-0592. We had the vice presidential debate yesterday, and I'm going to tell you right now, my fear isn't, Joe Biden. I don't fear him. Kamala Harris scares the you-know-what out of me. And I know my listeners, you guys already know, the most liberal member of Congress, I don't know how that's possible. How can you be more liberal than Bernie? How can you be more liberal than AOC? Yet she is. She's more liberal than the squad. But they debated last night. I actually watched the whole thing, and I thought Vice President Pence was spectacular. Matter of fact, it was the best I've ever seen him. Kamala Harris, she wasn't horrible. But, Pence cleaned up the floor with her. And for any of you out there that are undecided, do yourself a favor. Do a little research on Kamala Harris so you can understand what she really is all about. There's not a cause liberal enough for her. There isn't. And of course, I worry that, the faculties of Joe Biden, if they somehow pulled it off, could he keep the faculties together for 4 years? Because if not, what we end up with. So anyhow, enough of that. Great job. The Democrats are trying to create a virtual debate next week. Yep. The president, he's got COVID. We can't debate in front of people. And I just laugh because I'm like, come on. The incubation period, even the 14 days later, we're 14 days out. The president appears to be completely fine. But I loved Donald Trump's response saying, no thanks. Nah, I'll just rather have a rally. If we can't have a real debate, forget it, right? I'm not doing the virtual thing. And again, the scare thing. Did you see the plexiglass at the vice presidential debate? Right? All for show. Everybody, listen, you got to live in fear. How about we forget the fear and be Americans and go out there and kick some you-know-what. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592, and just so much weird news. We're going to get to jobs and all that stuff, jobless claims in a minute, but too many weird things. In California, on the 405 freeway, a private landowner who has some land that buffers up against the 405, it's a hillside, for lack of a better term. And he had erected a huge Trump sign. Kind of like, the Hollywood sign. The icon, Hollywood, and it's on the hill. Just like that. Big white letters that said Trump. And California, people freaked out. They were calling 911, right? It's a fire hazard. Right? Now, granted, right? California's on fire, but putting a sign that says Trump is absolutely a fire hazard. Now, if it said Biden, nobody would have said a word. The police said that it was causing traffic concerns. And they had to take it down. Yep, got to take it down because people are slowing down to look at the sign. Of course, if you've ever been to California, the 405, the 405 at normal times, everyone's going 5 miles an hour because it's that congested. Maybe, I haven't been to California in a while. Maybe it's still that empty. I don't know. But apparently they had to take that down. A private landowner on his own property. Oh, no, can't do that. In Seattle. We haven't talked about Seattle in a while. The mayor of Seattle has allocated funds for Black Lives Matter and Antifa to put up murals for Black Lives Matter and all these, and in these murals, and you can't make this stuff up. They're writing things like F the police on the murals. All cops are bastards. I mean, all kinds of just ridiculous stuff. No good cops in a racist system, and abolish ICE. And they're being paid by the city of Seattle to write this stuff on these murals. And what was so funny was somebody out there interviewed the people painting the mural. And they were laughing because they're like, yeah, isn't this great? We're getting paid to do this. And then one of the people painting the mural said, oh, by the way, what's even funnier is we're going after the mayor next, right? The one that's paying them to do it. Yeah, she's next. People don't get it, right? They don't want Republicans. They don't want Democrats either. I don't understand how the Democrats haven't figured this out yet, right? They're trying to be friendly with these people because they think it's going to help them at the polls. It's not. But listen, everyone's lost their mind. Right? I mean, and you're sitting there, and I'm just thinking about, no wonder why so many people are coming to Colorado and Arizona and getting away from these cities and these states. I mean, this is nonsense. Hey, how would you like to get paid to write bad things about the police on murals all over town? And did they think that that these people are their friends? That's the part that makes me laugh. It's pretty funny if you want to go and check out that. And you start thinking about all of these things and the election that's coming up. And then you start looking at the jobs like today, another 840,000 more jobs, people filing for jobless claims for the first time. Very disturbing in the number. Not only was that number a lot higher than people had hoped for, they revised last week's number up to, I think it was 849. This one comes in at 840,000. They're talking about the continuing claims, and and again, it's part of the mainstream move to keep everybody uninformed. Hey, continuing claims are falling, but they didn't tell you why they were falling. Did these people find jobs? Right, that'd be great. And that's what all of us want to believe. We want to believe, hey, yes, all these people went out and got work. But they didn't. They fell off because you only have 6 months before the government and the bankers who help create the way they track all this stuff, before you we stop counting you. Yeah, you don't count anymore. You've been unemployed 6 months, and you're not, actively looking for work, and you're like, well, I'd love to look for work, but the governor's not going to open up the place for me to look for work. So it was kind of one of those things. The report, they were expecting it to go down to 820,000, went up to 840. The continuing claims number was a little more worrisome because of why. It wasn't. We would much rather have it been, hey, the number's lower because people were going back to work. That really didn't happen. The states, Florida, and that one I didn't like because Florida's reopened. Florida, Illinois, and Virginia saw the biggest jumps. New Jersey, Michigan, Pennsylvania saw the best improvement. So that's kind of, and really everybody else was pretty scant. You take the 3 or 4 best states, the 3 or 4 worst states, all the rest of the states were plus or minus, not too much, right? We may have picked up a couple thousand, we may have lost a couple thousand. So still the majority of the moves in a handful of states out there. All the layoff notices that we got last week, they're not in this number. It's going to be next week's number. There was talk of a deal this morning to bail out the airline industry again. Now, I understand the frustration, because we've bailed out the airline industries a bunch of times, right? Bunch of times. Anytime there's a big crisis, they go under, and people get mad about share buybacks and all that other stuff. But, really, this is something where either the airlines keep paying these people or they go on unemployment. If the airlines keep paying them, they get more money. Unless they were doing the extra $600 a week stuff. So today they wanted another $25 billion. And again, remember what I told you, $25 billion for the airline industry is going to buy them like another 3 months. maybe 4 if they stretch it out. And they're going to need another $25 billion and another $25 billion. They're going to. It's estimated they're going to lose $200 billion this year alone. Now we've already given them 25 once. Rumor had it that Nancy Pelosi was going to agree to the deal, and now we're hearing that she now wants a broader stimulus package rather than a separate deal for the airline. So more of the same out of Congress. There's not going to be any standalone bill unless there's a bigger bill, and it can be part of that, or it could be in addition to a bigger bill. That was Nancy Pelosi about an hour ago. So the hopes of stimulus for the airline industry has faded, so we should see the airline industry. Now, I don't know if they laid the people off. They were supposed to lay them off last week. And then there was talk, Nancy Pelosi kind of made the threat of, hey, if you lay these people off, there's not going to be a deal. And then I don't know if they did or didn't. I'm assuming that they didn't. And then Nancy said no deal anyway. So now here they come. So bad news there. If you guys were a part of that and hoping for a last-minute reprieve, doesn't look like it's going to happen. Right now, gold's up $4, 18.88. Silver is up as well, up about 13 cents. The Dow's up about 50 points. It was up a lot higher than that earlier in the morning when they thought they were going to get a deal, not going to get a deal. Yesterday, we told you about Golden Corral filing for bankruptcy protection. Today, it's Ruby Tuesday. They're filing for bankruptcy. They're closing 185 more restaurants. That'll leave the chain with only 236. So losing almost half of all their restaurants. Ruby Tuesday. And again, I think we're going to see this a lot more now. And again, this is the problem if we're not going to give stimulus. Okay, if we're not going to do it, you're going to find out that we've got a lot of losers out there. Right? Ruby Tuesday has been a chain. Kind of, I don't want to say they were Sears and JCPenney's and Kmart, but we got a lot of those. We call them zombies. Right? These are companies that, hey, every 3-4 years we got to close stores, and they're not growing. Right? They're slowly shrinking. Slow deaths, right? And part of why interest rates, talk about interest rates being low. They have to be to keep these zombie companies in business, right? They're one of the ways, we'll refinance and we'll file Chapter 11 and we'll reorganize and we'll borrow money again. And every so often they got to, we got to close 30 stores or 40 stores. Now you're going to see them, hey, we got to close half our stores. We got to close all of our restaurants. This is going to be, the longer this goes on, the longer it's going to be. We've already lost over 100,000 small businesses are gone. And that number will continue to rise. I don't know why the Democrats are doing what they're doing, punishing people and punishing small businesses. And again, I say this all the time. They don't care. I wish they did. Listen, they care about Apple. They do. They care about the banks. Oh, they really care about the banks. And they care about Microsoft and General Motors and Ford. But when you talk about small business, when you drive around this town, drive around the town you're in, outside of the big block retailers, most of the places are small businesses. Even the restaurants that have a chain name on them. Not all of them, but a lot of them are franchise owners. Hotels. Most people think, it's Marriott. There's this big company called Marriott, and they own tens of thousands of hotel chains across the world. No. Matter of fact, Marriott and Hyatt and Hilton, they own very few hotels. What they do is they sell the name. And most of these things, they're small business owners. right? They're franchises. Right? They're small business owners, and all of them out there. I don't know how all of this is going to shake out. I really don't. Disappointed today that we didn't get something for the airline industry. Because now all these people are getting laid off. And also, the Democrats are trying to get their way and bail out a bunch of states that shouldn't be bailed out, right? If they have them, open them up. That's my call. But, I don't know. It's just more and more money. Now, the central bank, Jay Powell, been very, very clear that we need more stimulus. But what he doesn't do is put a number on it. How much more, Jay? Do we need $1 trillion? Do we need $2 trillion? Do we need $3 trillion? One of his counterparts put a number on it last night. I'll tell you what that is. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break.
Yes, ma'am.
By the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you they don't care about the people on the unemployment line and talking about the airlines. They don't care. Either way, the airline will pay him, we'll pay him, but what they're worried about is even with the layoffs, the airlines aren't going to be making any money. And without $25 billion every 3 to 4 months, they're going to file for bankruptcy. And that's big dollars, right? That's another one. We talk about commercial real estate. By the way, the numbers are just off the charts. And we knew this was coming, right? Commercial bankruptcies up 40%. And again, there's still moratoriums in place in certain areas. But so that number is going to stay high for a while. But, we talked about hotels, right? We know about small business, the zombies, right? The dying retailers, the dying restaurants, the bigger chains, and then of course, obviously, the bars and restaurant, the small times in trouble. We talked about hotels, but let's not forget airline. That's big. These planes, they're like $1 billion a piece. I mean, it's incredible. You go to Sky Harbor and think about Terminal 4 at Sky Harbor. I don't even know how many gates it is. 100? I don't know. It's incredible. You think about every gate with a plane in it, and you're like, there's $1 billion, there's $1 billion, there's $1 billion, there's another $1 billion, and over and over. It's a big problem. And this is kind of where we're at with all of this. The central bank knows it. The powers that be know it. And they're trying to pretend and trying to convince you it's not happening. And E.B. Tucker yesterday, what a great interview he gave, and talking about nominal gains and real gains, right? Nobody cares about nominal, because nominal doesn't mean anything. What really happened to me, right? What really happened to my bottom line? And this morning, I think it was either this morning or yesterday morning, the central bank, they're out on TV now all the time. Because they're trying to convince everybody it's okay. And listen, it will be, if everyone would just get out of the way, right? If you took the politics out of it, get the bankers out of it, let the country open back up, we'll deal with coronavirus, it would be. But that's not what's going to happen. So yesterday, Neil Kashkari, who is the Minneapolis Fed chair, was out on television. It's the first time I've seen one of the central bankers put a number on how much more money do we need going into 2021. And again, they've been on record, the central bank's on record, as saying we need more stimulus. Now, again, they don't see any moral hazard. Just ask them. Oh, no, don't worry about our balance sheet. It's fine. Remember, this time a year ago, what were they doing with their balance sheet? They were sitting there telling us everything was A-OK. But right on this time, what happened? We started having problems at the Treasury auctions, right? Let's forget about there's no moral hazard. We're supposed to be shrinking our balance sheet. Until all of a sudden, remember, we got it's just for a couple weeks. Remember what they do? It was just a couple weeks. We had a couple real big ones, and it's going to be fine. And a couple weeks later, right, they said, maybe it's going to be a couple months. And a couple months later, we're not going to call it quantitative easing. Right now they buy $120 billion a month. And they know that's not enough. And now they're going to tell us, hey, here's how much more debt the government needs, right? Forget about our debt. Our debt's fine. Right? And pay no attention to it. Right? Forget who's behind the curtain. Don't worry. Right? We're going to buy everything. So he came out yesterday, and according to him, we need another $3.5 trillion. Now, we gave $3 trillion already. Now he says, hey, listen, we need another $3.5 trillion. Forget it. And again, that's not the Fed. That's what Congress needs to do. So, I went to school. So that's $6.5 trillion, which, roughly equates to 30% of the entire GDP of the United States. Right? That's fine. Right? And I got to remember, we also have the regular debt on top of that debt. But according to Neil Kashkari, that's what is going to be needed in addition to the central bank increasing their bond purchases. So, and again, now he doesn't give a number for that. Right now, they're at $120 billion a month in purchases. Kashkari said that they have room to go higher, which really just means we already know we got to buy a lot more stuff. If you throw the airlines industry, and this is the problem, well, now you throw the airline industry into the number because that wasn't in the number, right? All of these guys are saying, well, they're getting bailed out, right? Just like everybody believes on Wall Street, the commercial real estate, all that crap's going to be bought by the Fed. They haven't done it yet. It's going to be very interesting, but start thinking about what that really means. Now, we already know we're already at $27 trillion. We're going to add another trillion this quarter, just naturally, right? So that's like $28 trillion. Then a stimulus on top. Now, whether it's before or after the election, who knows? But let's just call it $2 trillion, right? So that puts us at $30 trillion going into 2021. And what is the answer going to be? If there's no moral hazard, if really they look you right in the eye, he said it right on TV, we don't see a moral hazard. We don't see it. I looked everywhere, right? I'm sure he probably looked under his bed, probably went to the closet, he looked in there. Nope, I don't see it. Honey, have you seen a moral hazard? No. If that was really true, ladies and gentlemen, if it really was true, why doesn't everyone just get a check? Send everybody a check. Send it every month. You know what? Forget about 1,000 or 1,200. Let's just send everyone $10,000 a month. There's no moral hazard. Oh, there's a moral hazard, all right. And it's coming for your bank account. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Now, I don't want to alarm anybody. Mistakes happen. We make them here all the time. And when we do, we correct them. But it is a little bit interesting when you ventured out to the Treasury Department's website. And they have and if you've ever been out there, I'll save you the trouble. It's enormous. There are charts and graphs and dollar numbers everywhere. They have one on the debt, and they have one on the interest on the debt. And it was so funny is the one on the interest on the debt, people started reporting the wrong number. And I'm just like, well, maybe I'm at least of average intelligence. And I'm looking at the numbers. I'll just give you an example. Now, remember, I'll just go through the interest we pay every month, and it varies month to month, mostly because of when large Treasury auctions occur. September, $33 billion. August, $47 billion. July, $31 billion. June, $68 billion. May was only $26 billion. April, $41 billion. March, $40 billion. February, $34 billion. January, $33 billion. December, $94 billion. November, $35 billion. October, $30 billion. Right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Now, just at first blush, I'm like, okay, well, that's somewhere, you added together somewhere in the 40 billion-ish. Right? Because we had a lot of 30s and 40s, but we also had a 90 and a 60. So somewhere in the mid-40s a month. And I say mid-40 billion a month. Yet the total from the Treasury Department was $368 billion. And I heard people start saying this number, and I'm like, wait, what? Because that would mean monthly, the average would be like $30 billion a month. And there was only 1 month where we were below 30, which was $26 billion. Well, apparently, according to the Treasury, we just had, it was a spreadsheet error. Now, I don't know, because there was no month big enough where initially I thought, they just missed a month, right? The formula, it only captured 11 and didn't capture 12. There's no month big. That didn't happen. Because the real number is $517 billion. So I don't know how the mistake was made. I do a lot of stuff in Excel. So I guess maybe what did they below 2 months? Right? Just didn't count them? I don't know. But it was very interesting as I looked at it because I couldn't figure out how to get to that number. I was trying to get to 360 and I couldn't do it. And then it had me wondering, what other math is wrong? If you're missing the interest by 30%, and nobody knew. Listen, they put this out to the public. You would think somebody looking at their desk would be like, whoa, wait a minute. Right? Hey, we haven't paid $300 billion in interest in 15 years. It wasn't like 2019 was near that. This number wasn't even close. Nobody noticed. Not one of the underlings would have been, something must be wrong here because I've been doing this. This is my job. And every year it's, especially lately, 450, 475, 500. Kind of weird how it went all the way down to 368. Oh, well. Could you imagine, is the debt off by 30%? I don't know. What else is wrong? You know how it always works out that way, too, here. When we make mistakes here, too, I always end up with less money, not more. It just seems to always be that way. So if you thought that we had improved our deficits with the interest payments, and they put this out there. It was out on TV, and they were talking about, no, they didn't. Instead, it appears that they had a broken Excel spreadsheets, but I couldn't figure it out. So whether it was broken or they just did it on purpose, you can all decide. But just another one of these things, right, to say, what is it really? I mean, who knows, right? Is the debt already $30 trillion? Right? I don't know. 800-951-0592. And again, it happens, right? We do. I'm not faulting them for him, but nobody looks. I mean, this number was nowhere close. And that's the part that gets me, right? Come on. And now and we're supposed to believe everything they're spoon feeding us. And Neil Kashkari, there's no moral hazard. Then why not just send it? If that was true, why not just everybody checks? Forget it. Not to work. Why is it the billionaire list, the richest 50 people in the United States, now have more wealth than the bottom 165 million people in the country? And I don't know if that's a good number or a bad number. I don't fault people for being rich, but when 50 people have more money than the entire half of the U.S. population, that seems a lot like moral hazard to me. You know what I'm saying? Something that just doesn't quite feel right. I'm probably worrying for nothing. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Gold is flat. Everything's kind of flat because they were hoping for this standalone stimulus. Everybody's talking positively, but Nancy Pelosi reiterating no standalone bill for the airlines without a bigger bill. And I'm just thinking, you have the central bank telling you need $3.5 trillion. And again, if they're saying 3.5, double it. Right? Double it. Probably need, 7. Because that's how bad they are at any of this stuff. And we're talking about $25 billion. Nope, not going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. I think a deal will happen. And again, is it before the election? After? I mean, the election's 20-some days away now. So I don't know that it matters one way or the other. It'll either be right before or right after. Obviously, we're only 3 weeks away. So right before or right after, we're going to get something. And I'm going to say in the $2 trillion-ish. A little under, a little over, but somewhere near $2 trillion, and that's not nearly enough. And that's why you're going to need to put gold and silver away. Gold's ready to go. Once you hear news that a stimulus is going to be signed, you're going to see gold start rallying again. Yesterday, wildly successful special, $20 gold pieces at $20.95. I'm holding that price. Gold's right where it was, but I'm going to also say Saints or Liberties. We really haven't done a lot in the Saints. I got a supply of them again. So $20 gold, $2,095, and you get to pick it. The Liberties are the older ones, 1866 to 1907. Right, Teddy Roosevelt wanted, he didn't think the side profile of Lady Liberty's face was majestic enough. Commissioned an artist, Augusta St. Gaudens, to create the St. Gaudens, which is the full-bodied Lady Liberty. He actually died right as the coin was being released, so they named it after him. That's how it got its name, and of course that was 1908 through gold confiscation in 1933. Mix and match. One or the other, however you'd like to do it. U.S. $20 gold today at $2,095. I do have a handful of $10 Liberties, about 25 $10 Liberties left, and I'll hold that price. That price yesterday was $1,050. I just don't have nearly as many as those. 951 0592. We'll see how it goes. We're hoping for some stimulus today. We're not going to get it. Pelosi wants a bigger deal. We'll see where we end up. But here's the thing. Whatever we get now, just know this. We're going to need more. We're going to need more. How much more? Again, Neil Kashkari says $3.5 trillion. I'm telling you, probably double it, right? Double it. And hopefully that'll be enough. I don't know, because you see the bankruptcies every day. If the airlines have to file bankruptcy, now you got a whole nother category of debt that's going to have to be bought by somebody because these banks can't. How many losses can they really take? 800-951-0592. There's a reason why they can't buy back shares. There's a reason why they got to check with the Fed before they pay a dividend because they got problems. Patriot Radio News Hour. Hey, here's the good news. Tomorrow is going to be Friday.